Hi there, my name's David Filmer. I'm a part in the corporate team here at Forbes Solicitors. Just offering a quick video here to give you some things to think about with regards to possibly selling your business. With springtime rolling around, not that you'd know it by the rain pouring outside of my window, but a lot of us are turning our minds to spring cleaning. And whilst it's always good to do that at home, spring cleaning your business is also something which is well worth thinking about. You may not be in the market for selling your business. You might have an idea of selling your business in a year, 3 years, 5 years, but you never know when that perfect offer is going to land on your desk and make you think twice about whether now is a good time to exit your business. And if it did, would you be in a position to move quickly? Would you be ready to get out of the business? And would that sale go through cleanly? Here we deal with transactions of this sort all the time in the corporate team. And there are quite a few different things which crop up on a regular basis which have which are able to cause delays in the transactions, which can give buyers pause for thought, which can cause difficulties in the documentation. And so I'm just going to take a few minutes now just to set out one or two of those for you to be thinking about. And if you've got any questions on any of these, please do get in touch with me or any of the members of the corporate team here at Forbes, and we will be more than happy to help. One of the first things which I'll mention is the company's statutory registers. This is a legal requirement for all limited companies to maintain certain registers of their various interests. This would include who the directors are, the company secretaries, who the registers are, and allotments and transfers of shares. All limited companies are obliged to have this, but it's not uncommon for companies to either not have them or at least not know where they are. Regularly we get told by clients, oh, I don't think we've got any of those, or maybe our accountant's got them. But it's quite common for our clients to say, we just don't know. And if we do get something through, that it's not up to date and hasn't been touched since the incorporation of the company. It is a legal requirement to do all of these things, and it is effectively what the buyer of your company is buying. So these do need to be up to date, they do need to be accurate. And if these can be done in advance and presented as a nice package with a bow on top for your buyer, then it's one less thing for them to think about, it's one less thing for them to worry about. If you haven't got these, then a process called reconstitution will need to be done, and that can be fairly time consuming depending on how long your company's been in existence and how many changes it's been through, and there is a cost involved to doing that. So if you'd rather be doing that in advance of a sale rather than in the midst of trying to do your due diligence while selling your company. So statutory registers is the first thing, very common thing which we see. The second one is your workforce, your employees. For many businesses, employees are the most important asset that a business has. And as you'll be aware, there is innumerable regulation surrounding the employees, pensions, their contracts, holidays, all of those sorts of things. And all of this stuff will be investigated by any potential buyer of your company and will need to be up to date. And if there are any failings, any omissions, especially recently with COVID, people who've been on furlough, whether your furlough claims have been made correctly, for example. These are things which, if they're not up to scratch, a buyer might seek some sort of indemnity from you as a seller about. So again, we can assist with looking through all of your employee documentation, your staff handbooks, your contracts, all of your other policies and procedures which go into the governance of your workforce, and make sure that that's working properly, is up to date, is current with all the various changes that have gone on in recent years in employment law. And again, if that's done neatly and in advance of any sale, you can present this to your buyer, say, look, we're all fully compliant, here's everything you need to know. On a similar lines, your contracts. Do you have contracts in place with your suppliers, with your customers, with your clients? You'll have the basic things such as utilities, probably a property contract as well. But what your buyer is likely to be spending their money on is your customer book, your goodwill, and whether or not those contracts are in force, whether there's been any breaches, whether they're up to date, whether there's any potential for comeback on you as the company supplying products or services, for example, will be of critical importance to any buyer. So again, we can help look at your contracts, see if your terms and conditions of sale and purchase are up to scratch, whether they're current and up to date. And if they're not, we can help you put those in place and get you on a secure footing for doing business. I mentioned property there. Property, of course, very important and can be a big delay in any business sale or company sale. A lot of companies will rent their property, their premises, whether that's an office space, warehousing, or a combination of the two. Are those leases in place? Do you know where they are? Have they expired? Are you holding over on those leases? Are they in the right company name? Have you gone through a group restructure, which means that actually the lease is in the wrong company name, for example? Or if you own your own premises, is everything up to date with the title deeds? Is the land registry accurate? Very often we see properties held in the wrong names, properties held outside of the company group, for example, by individuals or pension schemes, or the land registry position doesn't match what the actual position on the ground is or is believed to be by the owners of the business. Again, by looking at this in advance of any sale, we can make sure that when you're in the middle of a sale going through the due diligence process, that all these matters are already dealt with and that there's no concerns for the buyer, because every time that the buyer finds something which isn't right, which isn't accurate, which needs fixing, it's just another seed of doubt in them, which might lead to them walking away from the transaction or potentially trying to chip you on the purchase price, which obviously you want to avoid. And finally, just on these things, another one to think about is your intellectual property. Some businesses, particularly in e-commerce, for example, or the sciences or tech, might be very heavy on intellectual property. For other companies, it might just be a bit of branding and a website. But almost every company and business will have some sort of intellectual property. And it's important that that intellectual property has been properly looked after, properly registered, and properly protected. For example, websites, it's very common to see websites in the name of the personal owners rather than the company, for them not to know who's done their branding, who's done their copyrights, their trademarks. So again, doing an audit of all these sorts of things in advance of a business sale offer landing on your desk or in your inbox is a way of saving time and effort and ultimately reducing the cost and stress of the transaction. You might have heard that it's one of the most stressful times in a person's life when you sell your house. Well, selling a business is just as much stress, if not more so. And anything that you can do to take some stress out of that transaction, that process, in advance, when you're not in the middle of it, whilst trying to deal with the sale of the business and also keep the business running at the same time. For me, that's invaluable time. So just a few highlights there, a whistle-stop tour, some of the key things in your business that you could usefully be looking at in advance of any potential sale. If you do want any assistance with any of these, please do get in touch with any of the corporate team here at Forbes, and we would be more than happy to help you. Thanks very much.